Hello and welcome to another Kyle Connor YouTube channel. You join me in Munich with the Honda E. This car has so much personality. Let me show you around it. Take a look at this face. It's so pleasant, of course. Let's pop the charging port. You can see Type 2 on the top, CCS on the bottom. It does about 50 kilowatt peak, but it doesn't hold it very long. I have a whole charging curve test on this vehicle with reviews and everything on our out of spec reviews channel. You can see digital mirrors. We're going to see how well this works. It's not a two-door, it's a four-door. Take a look at this. You have a whole back seat area. Really kind of neat. Sorry for some of the lighting here. And the back of it looks kind of just like the front. Really interesting car. Of course, I think plenty of trunk space. Really the perfect size. This is an expensive city car though. Fully electric vehicle. Costs about 40,000 euros. And you know, that's a lot of money for something that's kind of a toy, but let's see if it's worth it. You can see the door handles present themselves as I approach. Let's have a seat inside. You can see the cameras here on the side, quite interesting. Just getting belted up. We hit start here on the infotainment. Let's go lower fan. And it has some really neat features actually. So this steering wheel has sort of a wood line here in the middle of it, which I think is really neat. Different driving modes, brake hold, the typical Honda shifter down here, 3 cup holders in the middle. That's rare to find in cars. It has HDMI port, power outlets, 12 volt, 230 volt Schuko plugs. Pretty amazing. And then the best feature I think is this aquarium, and you can, I think, yeah, feed the fish. So you can tap over here and the fish starts swimming to where the food is, which is, it's just crazy to me. I absolutely love this, this sort of pleasantness. And then this split display actually works pretty well. For example, I can put like a trip computer on the left side here, and then I can choose a, I don't know, power flow on the right-hand side. You can see the Honda E is a recommended charge limit of about 80% daily, and that's perfect. This is meant to be a city car. It's not meant to leave the city. Therefore, we're going to do our review in the city. So the vehicle is on. Let's hit drive. Let's select the one pedal driving function. We don't actually need sport mode, and it doesn't make much of a difference in this particular car. So look at that turning radius, by the way, massive. This guy is looking at me like I'm crazy, obviously, with a camera strapped to my head. And then there's just screens everywhere. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screens in total. Really, it's not information overload. It works pretty well. So we're pulling out here of our apartment in Munich. Look at this, power down. Amazing acceleration off the line. The 0 to 50, over 300 Newton meters of torque here is just insane off the line. It is really cool. You can see a Volkswagen ID3 here parked on the right. That's quite a big car, and it's actually our main vehicle here in Europe. That car, the ID3, is quite nice, but it is big, and driving this, I much prefer it to driving ID3 around the tight streets of Munich. Now, we're a little bit on the outskirts of Munich, and we're going to be heading into even more outskirts, but we'll just talk about the car as we go. Interior, I think, is a big win. This floating design, everything looks and feels really tactile, and then you start to get into sort of the driving dynamics of this car, which is just the perfect thing for the city. Not having side view mirrors is an extremely huge benefit to maneuverability around the city center. You can see, like, just squeezing through tight spaces. We don't have big mirrors on the side. The car pretty much just ends right here. This means that when you start getting on roads like this, where you can see the Q8 has to drive down the middle of the road to not hit parked cars in front of us, in order to drive in scenarios like this car is so good at squeezing past things and people, and like these little corners, just little zip and nimble. The best part about this car, I think, is the rear wheel drive nature of the vehicle. You can see here we're waiting to squeeze by. There's a little gap, and foot down, and there we go. Just an absolute blast of a city ripper right here. Ooh, ID4 in that cool color that we don't get in the US. That's neat. So I've been having a blast here in Europe, just checking out all the cars, of course. I think it's really extremely interesting to see. you know, the cost of this car is really its main downside. It is 40,000 euros, a direct translation, about $50,000. I think if Honda sold this car in the US, which I fully don't expect them to do, this would probably cost like 39 base and go up to probably 45 for top trim. I think that's how they would price it. That's just a gut feeling. It's not based off of anything. And you can see I can just use my digital mirror to make a lane change here. I selected a button on the end of the turn signal that puts on these little distance indicators, and then as long as they're out of the red, then I know there's room behind the car. I've gotten really used to them. I like them quite a bit. And the only thing that the digital mirrors really are bad at is tight parking spaces. Other than tight parking lots where you're like trying to get the edge of the car right up to the wall, it's been totally fine. So the price of the car is quite high. The battery pack on this vehicle is a 35.5 kilowatt hour battery pack as quoted by Honda. I was only able to stuff about 29 kilowatt hours into it, which means there's big buffers top and bottom. And that 29 kilowatt hours was charging power or charging energy delivered, not what made it into the battery pack. And of course, there's always losses when DC fast charging, or as you would say in Europe, DC loading. Schnell loading. Or actually, it's schnell laden. So pretty funny. You can see here a Mini 1, the base version of the Mini, not available in the US, but with the JCW body kit. This is a very Euro spec of the cars here in Munich. So the 35 kilowatt hour battery pack, really 28 kilowatt hours, means the range is quite low. Even just driving around the city daily, like I started today with about 90% state of charge, I'm down to 60, and I've really only driven around a little bit. It's perfect if you have home charging, because then you just plug it in whenever you're not using it, charge it up to 80%, and each little trip across the city is fine. I could not recommend this vehicle if you don't have home charging and live in a city, because the DC fast charging curve to charge up this car is pretty poor. It charges quite quickly to 60% or 50%, but after that, it's almost not worth charging. I mean, it's like down to like low 20 kilowatt range, and then even into the tens and teens once you get below that. So this car, it really need a home wall box charging solution for it, and you just have to, you know, get used to the low range. 83 miles at 70 miles per hour is what I tested this vehicle at, and I think that's fine. My smart car does way less than that, and I charge it about twice a week, but it's also, I mean, I drive it daily, but only for very short trips. So I think this plus another vehicle, this plus maybe a combustion vehicle for long trips, that could be a really nice complementary solution. And this does drive better than its competition. We have Fiat 500e, we have ID3, of course, Smart Electric. This drives better, and part of that's because it's rear-wheel drive with a ton of torque. You can see foot down, look at this. Instant acceleration up to where you want to go. Just that rear drive acceleration paired with the narrowness of the vehicle with this great steering rack and really good feel means you get a lot of confidence to just rip around and get through the city quite quickly. So overall, I've been extremely impressed with this car in terms of its daily urban mobility. I've not been impressed with the range. I've not been impressed with the charging, but again, I think that's okay because that's how you'd use it. I also want to mention brown seat belts, which is an interesting touch. Matches sort of with this stitching, it looks like. The seats themselves are very comfortable. One of the problems with this car is you can see my knee here hits the heated seat. So every time I go around a corner, I'm knocking the heated seat on, and I'm getting quite warm quite quickly. And so I think that's really funny that there's no like surrounding thing. There's no one who caught that your knee just smacks in to the heated seat all the time. Certainly I could put myself a little bit farther back and extend my leg out, but the problem is then the steering wheel doesn't come far out, so I'd have to be reaching for the wheel the whole time. There's a whole bunch of great menus in this car as well. Again, I think the infotainment's well done, but it is a little bit buggy and a little bit laggy, I've noticed. 3 times now I've gotten in the car where either it was unresponsive, and then even earlier today the screens just went black and we couldn't even get them on. We had to restart the whole car. So I think you know, this one's probably like a really early build, and it has 9,000 kilometers of press driving, and you know, it's probably had quite a rough life, but I'd say the infotainment, when it works, is really good. It has Apple CarPlay with a pretty good sound system as well. but I would say for this kind of money, I'd like to see a heads-up display. I'd like to see better baked software, but I hope we see more of this software design from Honda. I hope this is sort of a vision of things to come for them. And overall, I hope this is something that we see more of. If this was available in the US, I understand it's very pricey, but it's so rare and it gets so much attention on the street and people love it so much that I think it's actually worth the money. And I know I go against most of my colleagues who probably say, well, this is a dumb car and, you know, you shouldn't buy it because it's, you know, expensive and it doesn't go anywhere. But if you live in a city like this, like in Europe, it's the perfect solution. In Japan, it's a perfect solution. And it's a great way to make a personal statement that you're into interesting cars and you're not afraid to spend money on something that is an emotional purchase rather than just numbers on paper with good resale value. I don't know what the resale value is here. But overall, one-pedal driving calibration is really good. Brake pedal blending on regen is incredible. Honda spent so much time, they must have, getting the accelerator pedal calibration and the brake pedal calibration to be just, I would say, better than most any other EV I've tested. I mean, I think Taycan and Polestar are probably the only two. This has way better throttle modulation than Polestar 2. And I think it's because it's not exactly instant. You put your foot down and there is a little bit of a millisecond of a delay or a slight ramp up, which gives it this very pleasant feeling of acceleration, not so much this slam in the seat and then it dies because of, you know, obviously it'll pull down off the peak hit. So I think Honda tuned this car properly, and as their first fully electric vehicle, I think there was a Fit EV back in the day. Anyway, at least as one of the very few electric vehicles that Honda has managed to produce, I would say they've done an amazing job. Look at this acceleration coming up here. You could just bomb through the city in this thing. You know, it's not Tesla fast, it's like 7 seconds 0 to 60, but that 0 to 50, 0 to 60 kilometers per hour, oof, really good, really good. And like I was saying, I think Honda really spent the time to make this car quiet, make this car a real good step forward, and they let their engineers and design team really go at it here. I gotta say, I'm impressed. I'm in love with this car. I really wish we got it in the US, but I understand the decision not to bring it there. Honestly, I don't think anyone would buy it in the US, so we'll just take this opportunity to I've spent a week with it now, almost about 5 days, as a big thank you to Honda for arranging this. They had to bring it on a truck across Europe here to Munich so that we could live with it and make videos on out of spec and inside EVs. It's been a wonderful experience, and if it was bad, I'd tell you it was bad, but you guys know I love these quirky, weird little cars, and I'm not sure it gets any quirkier or weirder than this. So thank you so much for watching another Kyle Connor YouTube channel video. As with always, I'm going to have plenty of EVs and weird electric cars and weird combustion cars here on this channel for you. RS6 Avant, earlier one. Oh, the cars here are insane. I've almost had 50 accidents in my first week here just looking at all the stuff that we don't get. It's really exciting. Anyway, see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.